Hi, this is Ziggy here, and today what we're doing is we're putting up a little shiplap and or car siding in one of these rooms here in a house that we're remodeling. And first thing I'll tell you is when you go to buy it, it's the stuff that we're putting in is a car siding. It's got the single groove on the one side, and it's got a tongue and a groove. You can see from the side here, it's got a tongue and a groove and a single groove on the one side. But we wanted it to have a kind of a thicker look, so we're facing the back side out. This is kind of a junky piece here, and it's all going to be painted white eventually. It's going to be some nice stuff. Anyway, the first thing I'll tell you is what we do is the room is running lengthwise like this, and as you walk into the room, these walls right here, where the window is, this is the thinner side of the room. So what I did is I did the two end walls first. That way, when you're walking in the room and you're in the middle of the room most of the time, you don't see the corner here when you're walking up and down the room. You don't see the gaps quite as much. You can also put like a corner molding in there if you want to, but if your saws are good enough and you're cutting straight and doing a good job and everything, that's one thing that's very important, that you don't see that gap as you walk in, you know, because this is all going to be painted white and eventually you won't see as much, but still it's nice to just not see it. Another thing that I was going to say is I start from the top down, because when you walk into a room, it's nice to have full sheets on the top, because somebody's going to walk into your room and they're going to look up. That's the first thing they're going to do. They're not going to look at all the baseboard and everything like that, looking down. And every time you look into a room, you know, you're looking out the windows. The windows are toward the top of the room. You're looking up. So, we're going from the top down. That way, and I'll show you here, that way, when I make my cut on the bottom, the short piece is on the bottom, and the baseboard will come up however far there once we get our flooring in, and that's how that'll look. But yeah, we're going from the top down, we're getting that done, all those things. Another thing is that as you're doing this, and this is a very important thing to me, is that your corners match. So as I'm doing this, I'm constantly checking my corners, making sure they match, just so it looks good. You know, you're not always going to be exactly perfect, but if you stand 5-6 feet back, that looks pretty darn good, doesn't it? You know, so making sure all these corners are matching. This is an old chimney that we found behind a wall that we're going to be painting white, just for decor. You know, they buried this in a wall, believe it or not, so it's going to look pretty good in this room. Anyway, but our corners are matching all the way down. That's one thing you really want to keep an eye on. And another thing is as you're going around these windows, you're constantly leveling and measuring to the base of the window as you're going from the top down. That way you end up with a perfect piece all the way along here. You know what I mean? And you can just cut that in and put it in. So constantly just keep an eye on things, keep measuring things, and keep looking at it as you're coming down. You won't regret it. And yeah, otherwise things are looking pretty good here. We should have this room done today. I gotta go get a little bit more of this car siding and or shiplap. But yeah, things are good. If you have any questions, leave a comment or whatever. I'll try to get back to you. I don't read them very often, but anyway, that's that.